Juggernaut is on his way to become the most relevant carry of this patch, with his win rate skyrocketing and famously Crystallis having a 17 win streak on the hero. Even though he lost his last 3 games in the grand finals of Fissure, the hero seems to be very successful, having a 55% win rate in the Divine and Immortal bracket. I myself have an atrocious win rate with this hero, but as you can see, I have a decent win rate against the hero with 65%, so that's why we're talking about how to counter Juggernaut in the current patch, being a hero that will definitely walk into your games. So we're going to talk about why Juggernaut is actually good again, like what happened that made him good right now. And then we're going to go quickly through the perspective of the Juggernaut, what he wants to do during the game, and then how to counter that in lane, in game, and then with items. Okay, so why is Juggernaut good again? Actually, he was always good because he had very good attack speed in lane, allowing him to last it and deny very well. He has aggressive potential in the lane with the best damage level 1 spell in the game with the Blade Fury, and he has Sustain with the healing ward. He then in the game has a saving tool with his Q, being able to TP out of difficult situations. He has very high damage with his Omni Slash, high farming speed, and he also is able to siege the high ground and get objectives with the healing ward. So what was the reason that Juggernaut wasn't played that much? It was that there were some counters that were not fixed and that now don't work anymore against Juggernaut. First one is Ghost Scepter and BKB, which allowed you to reliably dodge or counter the Omni Slash. You could Ghost Scepter and BKB and he cannot use Nullifier on you, so you're definitely safe. The other one was the Outworld Staff, which was a tier 4 neutral item, where you could just immediately counter the Omni Slash, stopping the Omni Slash in the same moment. Both of this has now been fixed, because you cannot be Ghost Sceptered and BKB'd at the same time. If you are Ghost Sceptered and then you press BKB, Ghost Scepter will be cancelled. So Nullifier actually applies to this, and the Outworld stuff doesn't make it so that the Omni Slash is just stopping. So now there's a reliable way to land an Omni Slash and deal the amount of damage that you want to deal. It is me from the future to tell you that this video is brought to you by me. Matter of fact, right now I'm just getting started into this whole YouTube thing, but I really enjoy making content and I hope it helps you a lot. And the thing that you can support me with the most right now is to subscribe to my channel and like the videos so that they can have some sort of reach and the channel can grow. Also, if you want to support me financially, you can do so by making use of my coaching offer. So you and me both benefit from this. I want to help you try get better, and I'd love to hear from you on Discord. Now, back to the video. Okay, Bladeform and Butterfly. Bladeform is his passive ability that you get with the facet called Bladeform, and it allows you to be very quickly between camps because it gives you movement speed, and it gives you very high agility, especially buffing up your Omni Slash, where it makes it so that you do have a lot of damage. And then there's Butterfly, which is an insane power spike, and I will show you this real quick in demo. We have a Juggernaut level 18 with this realistic skill build and these items without the Butterfly. I gave this target dummy a Assault Cuirass so that he has some armor, and we're going to check how much damage the Omni Slash does. And it's pretty decent, having 2.3k damage. And now we pick up the Butterfly and we try the same thing again. And we will see that the damage increases immensely to around 4k damage, almost doubling the damage. So this one item, expensive as it might be, is a huge power spike to Juggernaut and makes it so that he just deals enormous amounts of damage. Okay, so we now have a hero with a pretty good kit in general, and you can now also land reliable Omni Slashes. That makes it so that he is very popular in the current patch. Let's go quickly about the Juggernaut perspective, what he wants to do in the lane and in the game. So the plan for this hero is to have his Blade Fury and start with decent stat items, and he will then be able, with his attack speed, to actually deny heroes, deny creeps before you can actually kill them as an offlaner. When the wave is right here, this is also pretty good because I can posture aggressively, and if the enemy comes too close to me, I can spin into them and they either need to retreat, or they lose a lot of HP, or they even die if I have a good combination with my support, stuns or slows, something like that. So this is the ideal idea, that you can deny pretty quickly and can also go for last. So I can hit this creep twice, and this is something that most heroes cannot do, like hit twice to actually get a deny. Most heroes will be ruined by hitting twice. So The overall idea is to be dominant in the lane and win this lane. And if you're successful to do so, at some point you will have like treads, and with the treads you will be able to push this lane forward. And when the lane is around here, then you go take this wave, and then you go back to the lane, making you a very quick farmer. If the lane doesn't go so well, you can just retreat to this side of the map, or you can go into triangle later with Battle Fury. In the mid game, you want to focus around your Omnislash timing. Whenever you do have Omnislash, you're willing to show up to fights. And if you don't have to fight, or you don't have Omnislash, you're just farming towards Manta and Butterfly. And as soon as you have these items, you are very strong in the game. Afterwards, you can look for Aghanim's or Blink. Aghanim's a very good item. And if necessary, you can now go Nullifier to reliably land your Omnislash. Okay, so that was quickly the idea of how to Juggernaut. Now, how to counter Juggernaut. I will be talking about 3 different scenarios: lane and game and items. Firstly, laning equilibrium. This is true for all matchups, but for Juggernaut especially. You want to make sure that as an offlaner, the lane is about here. Because if I'm over here as the Juggernaut and I want to spin into you, you can walk back into tower and my spin is essentially nullified and did not really work out. The next thing is to tank up and buy boots. As I already said, it's very difficult to last it against the Juggernaut. There are some heroes that can build so that they can last it. Maybe a Centaur Warrunner with very high base damage who can outlast the Juggernaut. But in general, you want to go for stats, Gauntlet and Branches, and then later into boots. So the stats are so that when he hits you with the right click, you don't just immediately fall very low, because his right clicks do quite a bit of damage, especially with the Blade Dance and with the attack speed, bringing you low very quickly. So that's what the stats are for. And the boots you want to use to keep a safe distance. So you can see that if he is running up to you and being aggressive, you can distance yourself so that he cannot spin on you or waste his spin. So the Juggernaut is going to go boots very early, because he wants to be able to spin into you. And that's why you should also prioritize boots. Third point, and very importantly, very often underestimated by offlane players, is that he has very low HP. Juggernaut wants to be the one who's aggressive on you, but if you bring him low first, then he doesn't want to spin into you because you can kill him through the spin. And I want to show an example of this, of actually Crystallis playing in the Grand Finals of the recent Fissure event, and how he basically gets booted out of lane right from the get-go, because they dump a lot of damage on him. We're watching this out of the perspective of the Juggernaut, the Crystallis. He's playing against Dalai Lama on the Night Stalker and against Snapfire. So the first thing that we can see is that Night Stalker is blocking this wave, and this will make it so that his own wave will run on the tower and be killed pretty quickly, pushing the wave closer to the Night Stalker's tower, which I talked about earlier. Having good laning equilibrium means that he is it's more difficult for him to use his Blade Fury. So this is how the game starts. And the first thing we will see is the Snapfire dumping damage onto him. And also Davai using his spell. And it's like a couple of seconds in, he barely touched the lane and he is half HP. So this feels pretty bad for the Juggernaut, like he does not want to spin into them right now. And we will see this again in a second, where the lane gets very close to their tower. So here he cannot even spin, because they are very close to his tower, even if he is full HP. And now they jump on him again. And with those are in total 4 spells, I think. It was Void twice by Night Stalker and Little Shredder twice by Snapfire, and this guy has 160 HP. Like, what the fuck is this? And he's also not even close to level 2, meaning that he doesn't have healing ward, cannot sustain himself. And I think this needs to be something that is brought into the awareness of forward positions and offlaners, that Juggernaut is not a strong laner in the sense that he can just run you down, because if you are the first one to push damage onto the Juggernaut, he will be very much struggling in this lane. We will look at this one final time. He just got a bit healed by the Nature's Attendance of Enchantress, and as soon as Snap and Void are ready to like dish out damage again, they will make sure to do so. Also look at their posturing. Like, as soon as he tries to come to lane, Schofield is already hitting him and threatening him. Davai is also walking towards him, so he cannot be on this lane. Davai is not like behind this lane, they are like actively walking into the Juggernaut. And like this feels horrible for a Juggernaut. I think one more thing that I want to mention for this lane is that Nightstalker didn't trade 1-1 with the Juggernaut. Like, firstly, not in right clicks, because as I said before, the attack speed of Juggernaut makes it so that he will make sure that you will lose this trade in most scenarios. And they always waited so that they could combine their spells together and just dump him on the Juggernaut. And like, you don't want to use spin for every single spell, and yeah, you will just struggle in this lane. If we look at the last hits, we can see that he is behind the Nightstalker as well. So Heroic doing a pretty good job in shutting this Juggernaut down. Like, he comes to lane and gets hit immediately again. A quick summary: make sure that your lane is close to your tower, and then get stat items and get boots, and consider how low his HP is. If you are able to dump a lot of damage on him early, do that. It will help your lane incredibly. Okay, for the game, you gotta abuse the pre-butter timing. So before Butterfly, Juggernaut isn't really that strong, especially without the Omni Slash. Like, there is Omni Slash with the 0, that is good, but outside of Omni Slash, before the Butterfly, there's really not that much that he wants to do. And like, this is the time where you want to be very aggressive if possible, and shut down the enemy teammates, or even chase after the Juggernaut, because what he can do is like spin and TP, unless, next point, you have BKB piercing spells. If you have a BKB piercing spell, then you should feel more or less responsible to be one of the heroes that is chasing down this Juggernaut. I mean, there are some BKB piercing spells like Anti-Mage Ultimate, but Anti-Mage like needs to farm himself. But there are plenty of spells that pierce BKB among supports as well. I'm thinking Clockwork with his ultimate. And they are very much able to like hunt down the Juggernaut and actually go kill him. During the fights, I need you to kill the Healing Ward. The Healing Ward is an insane ability. I don't think that there's any healing ability in the game that is as good as Healing Ward, I think. So bringing it down has very high priority. And then finally, build items. Bringing me to this final point. And you can also already see, like, in this one view, what items I suggest against the 0. And then you're gonna say, well, he can just buy Nullifier against Ghost Scepter, against Duels, and against Glimmer, and kill you through that. But Nullifier is a 5,000 gold item that Juggernaut does not want to buy ideally. Juggernaut wants to buy these items. Ideally, he wants to go for Battle Fury into Manta into Butterfly, and then if he can, Aghanims and Blink. Those items are all for a certain purpose. This is for farm, this is for survivability and has very good stats, and this will make his farm and damage much better. And Aghanim Scepter is, again, a spell that can bait a lot in a team fight. Like, you can just Swift Slash and a support needs to go Scepter already, needs to Glimmer already, and the Blink is for reach. But if he has to buy a 4.3k item, which does not really give him any good stats, like there's no agility, this hero allows agility, and you don't get any of this. You just get damage, and this is basically irrelevant. And if you do this by buying an item that is 1.5 gold, I think it's absolutely worth it already. Also, as I already said, he will go for these 3 items first. So after boots, he needs to go Battle Fury and Manta and then Butterfly. If he goes anything else, it's gonna be kind of weird for him. So it's not like this Ghost Scepter, this Yules, this Glimmer Cape will be countered in minute 20. It will be countered in, like if he's really quick, maybe in minute 30, 35-ish. Maybe in your, like if you are playing 2k pubs, it's more likely to be countered in minute 40. So there's like plenty of time for you to counter the Omnislash with these items. So yes, even though he now has a solution to these items, it's not like they are useless. Now for the bigger items that are like mostly built in cores, these two items are for lockdown. Like Hex is extremely good extremely good for like a quick catch. If you can catch a Juggernaut from the start of the game, start of the fight, he can die very quickly because he doesn't even have low HP in lane only, but also low HP in game. So this is a level 30 Juggernaut with these items, and he only has 2k HP. Let's do something more realistic. Maybe he is level 20 right now. And he has these spells. Boom, boom, boom. And the following items. Battle Manta. So, if he doesn't have axe yet, he right now has less than 2k HP. Let's say that he already has an axe, he now has 2k HP. And this really is essentially nothing. So, he's very susceptible to being burst down full to 0 if you can manage to catch him. And this is why Hex and Abyssal are very good, because Abyssal can pierce through his Blade Fury, and Hex is just an instant cast from pretty decent range as well. The Assault Cuirass I put in the item because it lowers his armor, which is decently high, and it increases your armor. And with this hero only dealing physical damage, just more armor is very lovely. So finally I want to go through some heroes that I think are pretty good against the Juggernaut. I'm going to start with the offlane role, being my role and like being the hero that needs to lane against Juggernaut. And then we're going to go through some supports, and finally some carries and offlaners. Carries and mid laners. I'll keep the list pretty short, but I'll go through some highlights. So I want to start with, I'm going to go alphabetically here. I'm going to start with Centaur, who has an interesting angle to win the lane by his high attack damage, being able to outlast it even a Juggernaut. Then next I want to mention Legion Commander, who can very reliably kill Juggernaut with every single duel probably, especially later into the game, potentially forcing Juggernaut to buy Lincoln Sphere, which isn't great for the hero. I want to mention Mars just because it's my hero and I think it's underrated, because yes, it's very difficult to catch Juggernaut in the arena, but you can lane pretty reliably against him, because if he wants to come and Blade Fury you, you can either spear and he Blade Furies early doesn't reach you, or he doesn't Blade Fury and you push him away. And you can also tank Omni Slashes for a very long period of the game, with the Bulwark ability giving you 40% front damage reduction, up to 70%. It's very good against Omni Slash. Omni Slash attacks are always from the front, and like he needs a lot of damage to actually cut through a Mars. So this is like an Omni Slash counter. And then there's also Slaughter, who can bash through his Blade Fury and has a lot of physical damage with the armor reduction, who's able to actually boot out the Juggernaut out of lane. Then for supports, like all the heroes are relevant that have BKB piercing stuff, and we can just go through here and see, okay, Bane has a BKB piercing stun, Clockwork, the next one, Lion is also good because he has like a Hex, which is an insta stun, and even Putch has an angle to play into the Juggernaut. And then there are heroes that can have saving abilities, like Shadow Demon, like Oracle, even like Pugna with the Decrepify, forcing Juggernaut to build the Nullifier again. I think one overlooked hero is Windranger, because Windranger has, like, even as a support, very high physical damage. And as a Juggernaut you can't really counter that. You need to, like, every time spin and TP out. And you cannot turn on her with the Omni Slash because she has Windrun, dodging attacks. So carries that I like against Juggernaut are, for one, carries that he cannot really kill. I'm thinking Morphling and I'm thinking Ursa, maybe even Templar Assassin. And then there are also carries who can actually like have an ability to lock him down and kill him, mainly thinking about Faceless Void here. There's also Wraith King who can like eat one Omni Slash, also pretty decent stuff. In the mid lane we again have some heroes that have BKB piercing shit, like Primal Beast who can catch him, Bad Rider. I don't ever see Bad Rider in my games to be honest, but he has also BKB piercing stun, even Necrophotes. And I really like high tempo heroes who like pressure the map. Death Prophet is really good because like Juggernaut has, in my opinion, two big timings. And the first timing is like in a good lane having treads and then being able to shut down the lane, shoving it out, getting a lot of farm around the area. And then later, like after this laning stage, with the butterfly again. And I think that like a Death Prophet is a hero that can just come into this Juggernaut lane, push him away, take the tower, and then close the map. And then there's like a pretty big spot where you need to wait for Butterfly for Juggernaut to be very strong again. That can be abused by heroes that like are very good in that time frame. So let's make sure that this win rate is going down again. And personally, I'm very happy to see the hero back in the meta because I really enjoy playing around it. I think it's a very fun, skill-based way of playing Dota, where you need to make sure you don't get Omni Slash from full to zero. He needs to make sure that he doesn't die from full to zero. And yeah, I honestly really enjoy it. I also like playing the hero, even though I suck at it because I'm not a carry player. And yeah, so I'm excited for like the couple of games, and we'll see how he will be doing in the next patch, or if like there are some pros to just find clever solutions that we can adapt to that we didn't mention yet in this video. Have fun in your next games. See ya.